Hello friends, wishing you all a very happy Deepavali. On this joyous occasion, which returns to us once every year, I wish to tell you a story in which I will narrate my experiences and observations on Diwali had over the past 4 decades. I was born into an orthodox South Indian middle class household in the early 70s. Even as a child, I used to eagerly look forward to Diwali every year. My parents and I used to travel to Bangalore to reunite with our cousins for the grand celebration every year. Once I reached Bangalore, we cousins used to eagerly anticipate the festival day and keenly enjoy observing our parents, uncles and aunties busy discussing and arranging the nitty-gritties for the festival day. Like every other household of the day, sweets and new dresses were given. Of course, the firecrackers were the most obvious delight for us children. The festival of Diwali is celebrated in different ways and for different reasons across our country. But there is a general agreement that the entire week surrounding the festival days is the Diwali week. In the late 70s and 80s, the retail outlets woke up to the opportunity for maximizing sales around Diwali and began offering Diwali Dhamaka sales in the anticipation that a 100 rupee budget of their customer would somehow get extended to 120 rupees. And that has worked well for almost 2 decades, until recently. Shopping of all sorts is a big deal during the Diwali week. Firecrackers have been no exception to this. It is widely believed that the Chinese invented firecrackers around 200 BC and that the first version of the firecracker was some sort of a bamboo contraption filled with some chemical that exploded when subject to continuous heat. James Dyer Ball, in his book titled Things Chinese, has detailed description about the process and material used for making firecrackers during the 19th century. At that time, firecrackers were made using straw paper to make the body of the firecracker, while the fuse was made of bamboo paper imported from Japan, then stiffened with buckwheat paste. In India, the firecracker got into the mainstream Diwali celebration since the early 1900s. A gentleman by name Das Gupta was running a match factory in Kolkata in the early 1900s. Two cousins named Shanmuganadar and Ayyanadar, hailing from Shivkasi town in Tamil Nadu, ended up working for Das Gupta. The Nadar cousins had reached Kolkata seeking employment owing to the drought and famine in their native. After some years, the cousins had learnt the craft of making matches and dealing with pyrochemicals. They then returned to their native to set up their own unit. The dry, draft-prone town was ideal for the matches and pyrotechnics industry. Soon the town caught up with the new venture and many people in the surrounding areas got engaged into the production works. Even to this day, firecrackers and matchsticks are a cottage industry in the town of Shivkasi. Over the years, the experience gained by the town had led to the establishment of its own firecracker research center, known as the Fireworks Research and Development Center. Well-known Indian firecracker brands like Standard, Jumbo, National and Iron firework companies have established manufacturing facilities in this town. Over many years, these brands have grown from strength to strength and in the recent past have been the main source of firecrackers to all of India's firework demands. Over the past decades, the usage of firecrackers has grown and not just being restricted to Diwali. Firecrackers are extensively used in temple festivals in Kerala. They are used during New Year's Eve. They are used when India wins a cricket match. They are used during Ganeshotsav. They are used for celebrating birthdays of prominent persons. They are used when election results are announced. Basically, the use of firecrackers has spread into more occasions other than just Diwali, although in India, still the permanent usage of firecrackers remains attached to Diwali only. The Indian firecracker industry boasts of over rupees 6,000 crores worth of annual turnover, at an annual growth rate of about 10% over the past 2 decades and not showing any signs of slowing down. It is providing employment opportunities to over 5 lakh families, directly or indirectly. While a smaller fraction of these are directly involved in the firework factory's work, a larger portion is concerned with jobs like paper tube making, box making, etc. As of 2014, it was estimated that the fireworks sector consists of over 500 industries and 60 ancillary units that are dependent on these industries. The chemicals used for these fireworks vary from the conventional gunpowder and iron fillings to the present-day ones like potassium chlorate, barium and strontium nitrate, aluminium and magnesium powder, and sulfur. Potassium chlorate is an important ingredient in firecrackers for rendering colors. However, when it is mixed with sulfur, it becomes highly reactive and dangerous. Due to this reason, the Indian government banned this chemical in 1992. As soon as the ban was in effect, an illegal trade began with China because chlorate is much cheaper than its alternatives. The Government of India warns against the purchase of such illegal crackers. Fireworks have been categorized under restricted items by the Director General of Foreign Trade. The Petroleum and Explosives Safety Organizations, which is the licensing authority in India for fireworks and explosives, has not granted licenses to anyone to import them, not only from China, but from other countries as well. So any China-made firecracker that you might be buying is illegal. During the 70s and 80s, India's GDP was hovering steadily around 3% mark, which was sometimes referred to as the Hindu rate of growth. The government and the quasi-government sectors were the major sources of employment, which was in line with the socialistic version of our first Prime Minister, Sri Jawaharlal Nehru-ji. Most of my generation's parents would have worked for such companies that assured a basic income until retirement, and sometimes even a pension post-retirement. In those days, wage growth was very slow and small, and money did not come easily for majority of India. An effect of this was that a large part of my childhood, the perceived value of currency was of preciousness and rarity. That is, money is precious and very difficult to get. This perception had a very significant impact on how we shopped for firecrackers during Diwali. While our parents did not mind spending on new clothing and to a lesser extent on sweets, when it came to firecrackers, it literally came down to a bout between elders and kids. Parents of our generation family believed that money spent on firecrackers was tantamount to burning a wad of currency itself, while we kids had a totally different outlook. Our minds was filled with outgoing our opponents on the roadshow and get the tact acknowledgement that we had the trophy for the year. We kids planned long and hard about various categories of displaying our skills with fireworks. One was to see as to who was the earliest to burst the cracker on the Diwali morning, while another category was to see who went for the longest duration with the pyrotechnics. Another one focused on fancy cracker quotient in one's display, and so forth. On 15th August 1971, India celebrated its 24th Independence Day. On that very same day, the United States, under President Richard Nixon, unilaterally decided to end the Bretton Woods standard of monetary management, thus decoupling the US dollar to gold convertibility. This action by United States would prove to be among the most important enablers of globalization many decades later. In the early 1990s, India liberalized trade under the then P.V. Narasimha Rao government. The rupee attained partial convertibility status during that time. Foreign investment was welcome in a big way. At the same time, the phenomenon of globalization was gaining traction all around the world. Large multinationals saw India as a great opportunity and a large market in the making. Early movers like Citibank assumed considerable risk and triggered the credit card culture. The dot-com boom, followed by many other technical innovations, most of them originating in English-speaking West, needed a low-cost, English-educated sweatshop to run the errands. India was by default the best choice, and early enablers like Infosys and TCS spearheaded in capitalizing on this opportunity. The IT and ITES sector was granted the sunrise industry status with lot of tax soaps. These and such similar developments catapulted the private sector in India, which became an employee at par with the government establishments for the first time in the mid-90s, and also created many first-generation millionaires. It was the year 1947 when India got its independence. The population of India at that time was around 330 million. Today, the population is around 1,250 million, which means we, independent India, have grown 400% since independence. If you are wondering why I am talking about India's liberalization, globalization, and population growth in a Diwali greeting message, then let me assure you that there is a concern that I wish to present to you, my dear friends and viewers. The combination of population growth and affluence across all classes in India has had an explosive effect on the way we as a nation celebrate our festivals. Not only Diwali, but others too. Of late, the extravagance has been exponential and tending towards unsustainability. It is indeed a sad day to see that the apex court of our country has stepped in and moderated the celebration of our favorite festival. Note that the apex court is clipping the way we celebrate and not this festival itself. Even then, it is a sad day to see. Unlike in the past, the Supreme Court this time has, by the way of its ruling, comprehensively covered all aspects related to firecracker, that is from production to sales to usage to accountability of violations. We have come to see this day due to our own doing. I am afraid that if we do not take cognizance of our actions and self-moderate, then we should not be surprised to see even more celebrations being moderated by the apex court in the days to come. Diwali, the festival of lights, a festival that has been celebrated for thousands of years, should its celebration be subject to moderation of an apex court just because we, our generation, twisted it into some monster that it appears to be in the present today? Can't we not put some effort in understanding the ancient way in which the festival was celebrated and respect our ancestral traditions? Is the end of any Hindu celebration to lose sustainability and harm nature and environment in any way? Of course, I too am guilty of having created my own destructive footprint into nature and environment due to my own bursting of firecrackers over the years. But the recent intervention of the apex court made me stand up and take notice. I introspected, felt deep guilt in my heart, and immediately I felt that I had to do something about it. Hence, I decided to create this video and put this message out like some act of redemption. Yes, I am guilty and selfish, but you, my dear friends and viewers, I know you're all large-hearted people who will forgive and appreciate my sincerity. Let us make an attempt to change our approach towards a sustainable Diwali celebration that needs no moderations from anybody. Thank you all very much. I feel light now, so I think. Now let me light a lamp and pray for the well-being of all. Wish you all and your families a very happy Diwali for generations to come. Namaskar. Do let me know in your comments as to what you think would be a sustainable Diwali celebration, and do wish me back in the comment section. Happy Diwali once again, and cheers to you and your loved ones.